for growth and excellence. Now, today I want to touch on a topic which requires a lot of attention, and that is the impact of ethical leadership. Now, here's the reason why this is the theme which I've chosen is because I had a couple of business owners who have approached me and asked that what would our outfit be like, with the ethical, they go through this ethical dilemma. And this is a quite an uncomfortable conversation as well at a certain point as well. And by the way, if you have any questions, or you can easily say hi, because I'm live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and I just want to share some insights as regards ethical leadership. Now, this is quite sensitive, as I put it. And I want to start first and foremost by sharing some of the challenges. And some of these challenges you already know are occurring as we speak. Now, let's just go back a bit and see some of the cases, practical examples. One of them being Enron, where there was literally fraud, manipulation, cheating, everything. It was all about greed at the end of the day. So that's one of the instances. What about BP oil, for example? The 2010, the oil spill, which spilled over, I think, 4.9 billion uh, barrels of oil. So when we look at those examples and consider another example, Volkswagen, for example, the emission, the suppression from the true measures and results which they were supposed to give as far as the diesel cars were concerned. And I understand that it was 40 times more nitrogen dioxide or something, which was emitted than the required limits. And when we look at all these examples, we know for a fact that the behavior pattern, when it comes to this ethical behavior pattern, this is where the whole dilemma and the problem is. And in businesses, for example, I'll just share businesses. And by the way, hi, Ahmed. Thank you very much for joining. Santosh, thank you very much for joining as well. So businesses, for example, if you see businesses, silence amongst executives when they see that the CEO or a senior is not doing the right thing, still they not only validate, but they silence as well, and in some cases they even agree. And these are some of the behavior patterns which I have noticed and observed, and this is a reality in many instances. So I just wanted to share some I just wanted to give some context. And in companies, in certain jurisdictions, there's corruption as well. And how do companies really stand out ethically, successfully? And I'll give you an example. There was one company which I was instrumental in the growth of this one organization by 20-fold, and we wanted to go into another territory, but we were not getting the licenses. And obviously, there was this corruption going on, and we just refused. We just didn't budge, and we said that we just want the licenses, and we kept on adding the layer of going up and up to the authorities as high as we could, because it was quite evident that we were following the guidelines and the requirements of that particular jurisdiction. But here's the point, is that when you look at what's happening, there are a couple of things I want to mention here. Imagine climate change, the impact it's going to have. Just 1.5 degrees, and this is something that I read, that just an increase in the temperature by 1.5 degrees only, my friends, and 20 to 30 species around the world is going to be completely wiped out or extinct. And that is a reality which we must face. And we are talking about ESG as well, environmental, social, and governance. And the new millennium are supporting this movement because they want to see a better world moving forward. But it all boils down to ethics itself, because at the end of the day, it's about the ethical dilemmas which many leaders face. So here are just some insights I wanted to share with you. First and foremost, it's about walking with value. I just want to give some solutions here. And obviously, there's no right or wrong answers here. But what I want to do is, I just want you to see how this can really align, irrespective of what is happening in certain jurisdictions. Um, yes, yes. Amit Sharma, yes, thank you. Thank you for joining in as well. Now, here's the thing, aligning the values. Now, here in the UK, where I live, uh, really appalling statistics. 3.4%, only 3.4% CEOs, CFOs, or chairpersons in the FTSE 100 are of ethnic minority. Only 3.4%. Now, is that a coincidence? Now, obviously, I leave you to make that particular judgment, but obviously, I mean, there is something definitely wrong. And you can see some of the most successful companies globally as well. They've got this ethnic diversity as well. And this is a key component when it comes to, the impact that ethical leadership can make. And when we look at the diversity itself and the disparity in the diversity itself, in some instances, just like the example that I gave you, that goes to exhibit that have we really got the right tools, the right skills, the right competencies in place as well? Because that is really questionable when we see all these sort of statistics out here. Now, here's the thing. The first point, and now I'm just shifting gears back into what I was telling you, aligning the values. Now, many of these FTSE 100 have got these values of transparency, fairness, treatment, respect. All these fantastic uh, values as such. But are they truly aligned to those values? Do they walk? Do they walk the values? And I'll give you a practical example. Like I mentioned, this one particular organization which grew 20-fold, and what and the CEO, he was very well focused, but here's what he did, is that the values came first and foremost in everything that he did, and that built the right culture as well. The team were motivated as well, because he had this ability to connect, and he could connect all the dots with all the stakeholders as well, irrespective of what the conditions were out there and what other businesses were doing. Short termism is not going to pay in the long term. You know it, and I know it. You remember what happened to Wells Fargo, for example, as well. Those short term targets that they had. So it's very important to make sure that you align the values. And again, this depends on the choices that you make. Everything depends on, obviously, the decisions and the choices that you make. And sometimes the choices can be very difficult. So when you are making those choices, you just have to make sure that you pause, give it a pause. We are looking at stepping up, we are looking into innovation, we are looking into how we can stretch our capability as leaders, which is a very good thing. But it's also important to pause and find out what sort of sacrifices are being made. If you're making an investment in a project, think about what impact it's going to make, the adverse impact, the positive impact and the adverse impact as well. It's very important to have that responsibility and that social conditioning as well within ourselves, to make sure that we make the right decisions. So that's very important. Hi Martin, thank you very much for joining. So these are just some of the core components I wanted to share with you, is to make sure that you align the values and the choices that you make. And intelligence comes when you ask the right questions. So when you are probing about anything and connecting it with the purpose that you have for whatever you're doing, you need to make sure that you ask those questions. Just take some time, take 10, 15, 20 minutes or even an hour, but step out and ask the right questions and pause as to what damage it might do or what harm it might do and what benefits are there. So you need to see what sort of sacrifices are being made, because that is very important. Another key component that I want to share with you is caring. Where does trust really come from? Is that when you start caring for others as well. And stakeholders appeal comes when you care for everybody and connect with everybody without any disparity, without having this situation where you just want to validate a particular sort of choice that you're making by having executives just nod and say yes to everything. Rather than that, it's very important to find out and be as balanced as possible. And when I'm talking about balance, I'll give you just an example that's come in my head. Is take this one particular example. Imagine a situation where you need to hire, or rather you need to promote a particular talent. What are you going to do when you need to promote that particular talent? You will get a lot of others sort of influencing you at a certain point as well, if you are the CEO or the one making that particular decision. So you'll have that influence coming in. But when you take that time to really figure out exactly the core competencies, the raw talent, the criteria required, the characteristic traits, and the alignment of the value of the personnel whom you want to promote, it is the right thing to do, then that is the decision that you need to make, rather than all the noise and the influence. Now, I'm not saying it's bad not to take everybody's contribution. It's very important to take everybody's contribution, but filter out the influence which doesn't hold ground, as I would put it. And I can promise you one thing, that if you do this, this in itself is going to unlock a different level of energy for the whole culture of the organizations. I promise you, it's going to be completely different. And that is going to build a culture of authenticity, appealing the employees, appealing the customers, and building the brand as well. Because you're positioning yourself, the energy levels are equating to the choices that you are making. So when you start making those choices, you'll note that your energy levels are going to be at the highest level. So what happens, and this was another question which was posed, is that what happens when an executive uh, is basically scared? There was one particular executive, she said that I can't speak out to my CEO. And I mean, she didn't know how to really put it, because there were certain decisions which were not right in some shape or form. And I said, if you don't stand out and if you don't stand up, then no one will. You need to position yourself and be fearless. If you got the quality, if you got the competencies, if you got the standards, if you got the know-how, the experiences, you need to stand out, and you need to just confront the reality at a certain stage. You must confront reality. So it's very important, as an executive, as a manager, you need to really, rather than validating, question certain decisions. So that is very important. Now I'm going back into keeping your commitments as well. So if there is any commitment that you're making, any promises that you're making, you must make sure that you commit to those promises. No matter what happens, hell or high waters, you must keep your commitments. Now, here's the situation. Sometimes, because of the level of risks that you are having in businesses, in whatever you're doing, in the outcomes that you are getting, you may find that it's going to hurt the commitment. In other words, you may not be able to fulfill the commitment in some shape or form. But here's the thing, when you meet the commitments, you will see it is going to open up to other opportunities. So do whatever it takes to meet your commitments. And I'll give you a practical example. So last year, what happened is we were going to hold leadership event back in Nairobi, Kenya, where my other company is and my business partner was. And what happened is we spent a lot of money in marketing, and I mean, we had about 12 sponsors, and I mean, it was a big event. It was about, we were expecting about 300 plus participants to come for this leadership event. And what happened is, just 18 to 20 hours before the event, the government issued a directive that all events are suspended because of the first COVID case, and everything just went off. And we ended up with a huge liability. My business partner and I, we ended up with a huge liability, which was just completely unexpected. And here's what we did. The the marketing advertisers and all that, we sort of sat with them and we told them that, look, this is the situation, but this is our commitment. We are paying you. And we, within a couple of months or 3 months, we sort of paid whatever, we settled all our bills. The reputation, the building of the our building block, our energy levels, everything, our stimulation, our dynamism, it just skyrocketed. And this is where creativity comes in, imagination comes in, without any suppression, without any trapped energy, my dear friends. It's going to really make a powerful impact when you are authentic, and you'll be able to sleep well at night as well, because this is what it's all about. And you and I know that there are many who are billionaires, but are they really happy? Are they really fulfilled? This is the question we need to really ask. You'll note that many are frustrated. And I'm not saying that there's nothing we can do as far as stress and frustration is concerned. I mean, yes, we do get those moments when we are stressed and frustration, but we live in an imperfect world. We are imperfect as well. I'm learning, I'm progressing as well, just like you. So we are all trying to step up, but we need to really move to another level and realize the importance of the future, what it's going to mean to the next generation, and the next to next to next to next generation as well. What's this world going to really mean? So you need to really look into it. With this digitization, you can see all these technological new evolving mechanisms coming out. What is it really doing to the ethics as well? Are we just siloed in just seeing how it's going to really improve all the economies? Or are we looking at the bigger picture, the holistic picture as well? So we need to be very, very careful about how we, um, look into this particular topic itself. And my dear friends, ESG is coming in now. This environmental, social, and governance mechanisms are there. And I want to leave you with this final thought. Here's something that I want to leave you with. Nothing's going to change. The choices are going to remain the same. The decisions, whatever you do, whatever actions you're going to, it's going to remain the same. You know why? Because 95% of the thoughts which you have today are spilled over to the next day, unless and until there is that fire, there is that wake up call, there is that aha moment where you say, no, change must happen. So it has to start from within. I personally, when I see the corporate governance codes and all this compliance and regulation coming up with that, you must have gender equality and you must have diversity, it should start from within. It should not even be a comply. It should be something that should be natural. It should be a natural process which everybody must be working in harmony, looking at what is right, looking at what is true, having that moral compass as well, which is going to point north. That is the core essence of growth, rather than all these other unexpected, like I say, trapped energy. You see, so it's very important to make sure that you have the right moral compass. I just wanted to share these, and if you are a business person, again, like I said, or an executive, like I said, do whatever it takes. Take just those incremental bite-sized changes which you can make. And if you can make those changes, it's going to change the culture, it's going to change everything. But your life, the way you live, your energy level, you will see a different perspective altogether. You will see a different level of engagement. You will see authenticity. You'll even build your confidence. So work on these few points. There are very many others, but I just wanted to touch a few today. And in the next session, I'll be sharing more insights. But look, thank you very much for joining. I hope you have found some value from this particular discussion. Thank you very much for joining, all of you. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next live event. Thank you very much.